You guys are my worst friends.
I'm not sorry.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Wine Coven podcast. So we are recently getting used to a new schedule where we are filming like twice a month now, so we're getting used to that. So if you've seen a couple like live videos from us, that is us kind of transitioning into our new schedule. But we actually also love doing the lives with you guys. So I think we're gonna kind of incorporate those in every so often, but that's why you've been seeing them lately. We have noticed that listener stories are very popular with everybody. Everybody loves sharing their stories and we love hearing them. So we are actually going to start doing more of these episodes.
Yes.
So I'm going to let Jessica take it away with our first listener story.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
All right.
I'm so excited. I love these stories.
These are always so fun.
I love
So
these.
I do have to admit, I read this one because when you're the one reading it, it's like easier. And it's good. Okay. This one's good. All right. So this is from a listener whose name is Macy. And she said I can use her name.
Macy.
Sierra knows Macy.
Yeah.
So cute.
Super sweet.
JK,
Yeah.
JK.
All right. So she said, hey guys, my name is Macy, and yes, you can use my name. I have a paranormal experience to tell you about, and it's pretty much the only one I've ever had in my home.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited. I love these
so
stories.
good.
Because, like, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I love these stories.
It's good. So my boyfriend and I live in a home that's basically brand new. I'm super into home decor and interior design, and my style is very much modern Victorian. Mm-hmm. So in one of my bedrooms, I wanted to create a makeup/office with a super spooky vibe and some antique artwork on the walls. Mm-hmm. In search for some, I decided to head to the local consignment shop and browse around. Well, I found the perfect painting. It was huge, looked like it was 100 years old. That's your sign. And it was super cheap, so I snagged it right there.
She still bought it.
That's your sign.
She said, mine.
Girlfriend, come on.
She writes, I'll attach a photo of the painting, which she did, so we will put that on the screen.
We'll insert that.
Oh, okay. Can I guess what the painting is?
Okay.
Is it a lot of neutral reds?
I don't know.
Pink/borderline reds, neutral red tones that go into beige colors. Oh, and if it's not on that end of the spectrum, it might be on the cool end of the spectrum where it's like deep dark blue, greens.
I envision like a lot of like neutrals and reds actually too. Oh.
It's kind of funny because you started off saying like reds and hues of reds and pinks, and then you went, or there's blues and greens. It's like a combination.
Holy hell! Dang. Did I just get that right?
Isn't that funny? Because it's obviously predominantly red, but there's also the next color you go to is like those blues.
Also love the color of her walls. That like
you guys are my witness.
I know.
Like you guys are my witness. Did I just guess that?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the colors of the walls too. It's definitely predominantly red with some hints of blue. The frame was a really pretty bronze, and there was nothing weird or creepy about it. The back of the painting and the frame was covered with a brown paper with some kind of plywood underneath, so I didn't have access to see the actual back of the painting, where sometimes you might find the year that it originated from. So obviously I bring the painting home, and it sits perfectly in the room on the wall, right where I wanted it, and I was pumped. Until a few days later when some weird stuff started happening. To preface all of these happenings, my boyfriend works the second shift. So from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. he's working. And he usually... I'm
sorry, really quick. That was my favorite shift at the animal hospital.
Really?
Yeah. I worked from 4 p.m. to 2:30 in the morning. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen anything like it in my life at an animal hospital. It was my favorite shift.
I'd be exhausted, but I get it. I guess you get used to it. So she said he usually ends up getting in bed around 3:30 a.m. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I was home alone most nights, and I go to bed alone most nights. The first weirdness I noticed was a very heavy feeling. The energy in the house was so thick and heavy, and that's the only way that I can describe it. It's like when you constantly feel like you're not alone. We didn't have a dog at the time, so I definitely should have felt and been alone in the house, but it didn't feel like I was. I had gotten to the point where I didn't want to go to bed until my boyfriend was home, so I would usually wait up for him to get home before I would go to sleep. Bless her heart, that's late.
I know.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
that's like real. I feel like that's like real fear though. Like
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
energy. I
Yes.
couldn't
it's
imagine.
very unsettling.
Right, like it must have been so unsettling that she was like, and you know what? Honest to God, like if there's a night where I'm uneasy, I'm like, I can't go to sleep until Josh is in bed with me.
Yeah.
She must have
Oh, yeah.
felt that. That's a lot of
Mhm.
uneasy energy. Like, yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah. I will say, like, personally, that's like the number one thing that I always pick up on is like thick, I always call it like thick energy in certain
Yeah.
places. So
Yep.
to have that in your house would be incredibly unsettling for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes on to write the first scary event. One night when my boyfriend got into bed between 3:30 and 4 o'clock a.m., I woke up suddenly and I could tell that he was sitting in bed on his phone, turned towards me. So like that light, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 nightstands, one on each side of our bed with a lamp with a glass lampshade on them. All the lights were off and it was dark. We were both just laying down waiting to go to sleep. And out of nowhere, we hear glass shatter on his side of the bed.
What?
We both... I know. I was
Oh my
reading
God, I
this.
would freak
I was reading
out.
this and I was like
Like
I just
glass,
got
like
chills.
glass, like a okay.
the
Continue.
whole thing.
I'm emotionally invested at this point. Let's go.
Yeah, me too.
We both sit up and he shines his phone light to see that his lamp had fallen and landed at least 1.5 feet from his nightstand. To clarify, the lamp was sitting at the back of his nightstand with some canned drinks in front of it. You know, like you have your drink before bed and it's sitting
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink to that. I'll tell you that.
For it to naturally fall, it would have fallen to the side. Also, we have carpet. So for the glass to shatter on the carpet, it would have either been dropped or have been thrown.
They have carpet?
Oh my God.
It didn't make sense and we were freaked out to say the least, okay?
Just got chills. Like that's
I
weird.
did too.
I imagine waking up to glass
Like,
shattering.
how did it? Nope.
Ooh.
Bye, Felicia. Nope.
Mm-mm.
It's such like a distinct sound, so to wake up like abruptly to some like glass shattering,
it's also terrifying. Think about it. Like that's also terrifying. That's like Criminal Minds episode. And you realize it's a ghost, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's. I was reading this alone, like, okay. So the second scary event. The next night after that happened with the breaking of the glass, my boyfriend gets in bed around the same time between 3:30 and 4. And again, we're both just laying there in the dark trying to fall asleep. All of a sudden, he sits up, obviously freaked out, and he starts shining his phone light all over the room. I notice and I ask what's wrong, and he says nothing. And I kind of didn't want to know. So I said, okay, and we both laid back down.
I don't blame her.
It's one of those things where you don't want to know, but you also kind of want to know.
Like my sleep paralysis. I'm gonna be like, I'm a sleep paralysis. I'm gonna close my eyes anyways because I'm not looking at you tonight, Shadow. Nope.
It's like you know in your gut, but you don't want to acknowledge it. So you're like, let's just go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes later, he does it again. He sits up very scared and he starts shining his flashlight everywhere. This time I demanded to know what was wrong. And he said, are you talking? I obviously said no.
Ew. I just got chills again. Oh my God.
That's fine.
She says, obviously I say no, I'm not. And then he tells me he keeps hearing tapping on his nightstand and he swears he's hearing a woman's voice, but he doesn't know what it's saying.
Like the same nightstand that the lamp
Mm-hmm.
So he's hearing tapping on that nightstand and then like
that's
a woman's voice.
That's totally normal.
Isn't that crazy? And then through talking, I'm sure in all the chaos of this happening, he says you might want to think about getting rid of that old picture that you bought. Still freaked out, but also desperate to sleep, we laid back down and we tried to get some rest that night. By now, I'm scared to go home from work and I'm scared to be alone in the house. So I called the consignment shop the next day trying to get information on the history of the painting, and they give me nothing. I then called a friend of a friend who does paranormal investigation, and they suggest to give it some time, and if stuff keeps happening, to get rid of the painting. Mm-hmm. My boyfriend and I had a week-long trip to Universal Studios planned, so when we went to the trip, by the time we got back, we kind of stopped thinking about the weirdness that was happening at home. That was a mistake because just like before, weird stuff started happening again. And the weirdest part was it's like it was targeting my boyfriend because nothing really happened unless he was home alone or he was in bed with me.
It's
Well,
weird
he
too because
said-
it was
he
his
said it was-
nightstand.
Yeah, and it was a
He's
woman's
hearing the
voice.
voice.
Yeah.
Like a
She
woman's
brought it
voice,
home.
and I don't like that.
Interesting.
I left the house for work one morning, and after I left, he called and asked if I was still home because in our bathroom, there was a loud bang, and all of a sudden the shower caddy shelves fell down. Then one night after he had gotten home from work, which remember is like 3:30 or so, whatever, close to midnight.
Witchy hour.
Yeah, I was sitting in bed on my phone. And my lamp, the kind of lamp that gets brighter when you tap it, has like the settings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It got 2 notches brighter right in front of me, as though it had been tapped 2 times.
Ew.
What?
Is that crazy? So much energy in the room.
My mother-in-law has those lamps, and whenever I even put a drink like close to them, like they're on her end tables in her living room, I'll like put a drink close to them. But they have to be, the glass has to be touching the lamp.
Right.
Yeah.
And besides the bathroom, so much energy happening in the bedroom.
Ew.
You know?
Wow.
Which wasn't even the room, I don't believe, that the painting was, because she said she got the painting for like a makeup office room. So
yeah, it sounds like her beauty room.
And don't forget,
get rid of that painting. I'm just kidding.
Don't forget, it was a pretty new house, so it's not like the house itself.
Right.
But it could, I wonder if it's on like grounds, we've talked about that on here before, where if something happened on the grounds, but it does sound very much connected to the painting because that's when everything kind of started.
I know, but it is a good thought too, because we've heard so many people who have had experiences when their house was built on like sacred land or like burial grounds.
Like, it has to be a woman because to be drawn to him.
Oh yeah.
I wondered that too, actually.
Right, like knowing when he's home, it's like almost like she's like, oh, like, hey.
Well, and he heard a female's voice, don't forget.
Yep.
So it was definitely
but he had to have heard a voice that sounded like her. Like,
yeah.
I know this sounds so weird, but Josh, he could wake up to anybody's voice, but if it's a woman's voice, it sounds like mine.
Right.
And he's a dead sleeper. Like, I could probably kick him in the head and he would not wake up. But if it's my voice, like, he'll wake up instantly. So
do we know someone else that's like a really sound sleeper? Do we know someone else, Corinne, who sleeps really soundly?
You mean when I hit Sarah in the head?
Could never be me. It could never be me.
All right, so she says, we were both fed up at this point. So I took the painting down and I put it in the trash bin to be picked up and taken to the dump. The trash truck comes on Fridays.
Oh my God.
And so that Friday it came and it took the painting. The next day, Saturday, I was telling my first client about everything that was happening and how the trash truck had picked up the painting the day before and it was now at the dump. My client turns around and says to me, Macy, what dump does your trash go to? And I tell her which one and her jaw drops. She says there was a person found dead there this morning.
I'm sorry. No, wait. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
2 sentences. Can we go back 2 sentences, please?
Let me read that part again.
Yeah, thank you.
So trash comes on Friday, picks it up, and Saturday Macy's at work. She's a stylist, right, Sarah?
Yes.
So she's talking to a client about what happened, and she's like, the trash truck picked up the painting the day before, and it's now at the dump. And the client turns around and says, Macy, what dump does your trash go to? And I tell her which one, and her jaw drops. She says, Macy, there was a person found there dead this morning. She said, I could not believe it, but it was true, and they died of natural causes.
Yeah, my ass, they died of natural causes.
I'm not sure what was going on, but after that painting left our home, the energy was lightened and nothing weird happened after that. Moral of the story, be cautious when buying antiques at your home. You never know what might be attached to them.
I'm so curious. I'm so curious as to what was behind the painting.
Me too. I was thinking that too.
How there's the backing that she said.
And I'm guessing she never took it off, would be my guess.
Right.
Yeah. She was probably just ready to get rid of that thing and was like,
I don't blame her.
She signed in Happy Wine Drinking Halloween Besties. Much love,
cheers!
Macy.
Oh, Macy.
Thank you
So
for your
before we
story.
before we go any further, I want to say thank you to Macy
I'm
for
not
taking the
gonna
time
sleep
to write
tonight.
that, share it, write it, share it, because I know it takes a lot to write these things out and to like relive things, and we appreciate you guys when you do this because we're going to do more of these, like I said, because it's so interesting. I think it's so cool to read from like another person's direct point of view, someone who's lived these things. It's so weird.
And they follow us, so it's extra special.
Yes, because we already love you, and that trust is like, oh, it's so neat. Can you? I'm just trying to like be Macy for a minute and just be like casually talking to your client, like we've been having all this crazy stuff happen. We finally got rid of it, and they turn around and they're like, "Did you not hear there was a body found there this morning?"
Yeah, her jaw probably like dropped. She was like,
You must be
because
letting
if I was shocked and I've never even like heard of any of this, I'm like,
you must. I mean, that's like, even if there was no connection, how weird and coincident is that timing? Like,
there was definitely energy attached to that painting, guys, for sure. I will die on that hill because, well, I won't die on that hill, but you guys know what I mean.
Don't say that. Oh my God.
It's true though. When something is removed like that and you instantly feel, that thickness dissipates and everything becomes lighter in whatever your house, whatever it might be.
Yep.
There's no way to not understand that was something was attached to that, something was happening. How weird for it to affect your boyfriend so strongly too.
There are people who like dispute this, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I gotta be honest with you, like, there's like vibrations and energy in certain things, and if you are more attuned to them, and I'm not saying that people are not more in tune to them, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you are unsettled around a certain thing or a certain place, I am a firm believer in just realizing that, this is not like right. Like that's intuition. Like think about it. Like that's intuition. That's like your body saying to you, we need to leave like now. Like now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people do work in different ways. I think there's definitely some people who are more in tune with that or are more like apt to believe in those things, and so they dive deeper. And then there's definitely another side, which again is totally fine, whatever people's like comfort level is. But I think a lot of times things are not brought out like fully to the surface strictly because the person is like la 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 la, like they just don't want to go there. That's fine.
Right. I think it's weird that you say that because there's a lot of people who are more logical in their, I mean, I don't know how to word this.
It's true though.
They need proof, like actual proof that you.
Yeah, they need a visual.
Right, a visual, exactly. And
they said fix or it didn't happen.
Right, fix it didn't happen. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No,
and I think that if you want my honest opinion, there's a lot of people out there and that kind of run from emotion.
Oh yeah.
There's also a lot of people that run towards it. And I think that the people who run, this is my personal opinion, this does not mean it's correct, this does not mean anything. I think that a lot of people who run away from emotion are the same ones who need proof that the paranormal or anything exists.
Right. Yep.
That's
I personally, I love that because I definitely agree with that. That's kind of what I mean. Like I think people who are open to those experiences have more of an open mind and they don't need that hard proof usually tend to be the ones that dive a little deeper, and so hence diving deeper they discover more. But then you have the people on the other side, it's very easy for them to just kind of they just count it all off, right? They're whatever the word saying is, they're just like like there's an explanation for everything. And then there's a lot of people who just think like there doesn't need to be an explanation for everything. Like sometimes you just have to let your gut, you got to run with that intuition.
But maybe they had an explanation and maybe they are already an emotional human being.
Right.
And what they need is confirmation of the emotion connection to the other side. Which
like they've experienced it.
Right.
But
so they think they're crazy. Like
they're like, this has happened to me and now I need to know why. Someone explain this out for me, almost like to clear it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a spectrum. I think there's people all over, you know what I mean? I think you have like the firm ends, and then there's people like all on the spectrum of different levels of believing
I
these
agree.
things, you know?
Sarah, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely agree with you guys. I definitely think that people who are more, I guess, I don't want to say open-minded because I'm sure those people can like listen and like kind of
Yeah.
rationalize however they want to. But somebody that's more like open is obviously going to like experience more because
Right.
they just are. Like they're kind of looking
Right.
for it. Like whereas someone who's more of a skeptic is going to be
Right.
like,
Right.
well, I'm not looking for it because I don't think it's a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
I think
But
that's so true. The looking for it, that was like a key point. Like people who go diving deeper and want to look for things, I think are naturally going to find more. And sometimes it probably seems coincidental to the people who don't believe. Like, oh, you always have things happen to you, don't you?
Right.
But
Right.
to me, in our brains, it's like, yeah, because they're searching, they're discovering, they're questioning everything. So yeah, it's very interesting. So again, thank you to Macy for submitting that.
Thank
What
you.
a creepy, amazing story. I
was
loved this
good.
one. Okay, so we actually have time for one more story. And again, please keep submitting them. We'll have our email address down in the description box because we want to work these into like a normal rotation because we love reading them. So Sierra is actually going to read one more tonight for you guys. And then we'll wrap the episode up.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Sierra.
Okay, so this story comes from Katie. So she said, "Hi, ladies. So I recently, I recently started following you on Spotify and listened to your first podcast.
Thank you.
Yay, Spotify.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
said you liked listener stories and spooky stories. I posted this on your Instagram as well, but I saw your email on your Spotify page and thought I would send it there too."
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for submitting. So I'm going to preface all of this by saying that I see ghosts. I always have and probably always will.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
It's a family thing. My dad does, his sister and two brothers do, my brother does, and one of my cousins does as well. It's something I've always lived with, so I have tons of spooky stories. Well, the
I need
other
all of
day
this.
I discovered I may have passed it on to my oldest son. Here's how it goes. Ooh, I just got like chills.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I need more stories, by the way. All the stories. Okay.
Wow. Okay. This
Okay,
makes me
so
want
this
a
is
whole
her
family.
oldest son.
Okay.
Okay. 2 nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night out of a dead sleep. The kind of wake up that came from whatever survival instinct that was left over from our caveman days that said, "Wake the F up, something's staring at you."
Ugh.
So I wake up mid-panic from being violently catapulted from a rather decent REM sleep to being wide awake.
Oh.
And I turn my head to see my oldest standing there staring at me.
What? Wait, how does she give it age? Does she give it age how old he is?
Not
I
yet, at least.
Don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't know that she does. So we'll have to have her comment.
Okay.
Yes.
I said his name a couple of times, asked him if he was okay or if anything was wrong, and got no reaction. He didn't even blink. Okay, first of all.
Ew. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say ew, but like
First of all, I
like
know it's your son, but it would freak me out if there was somebody just standing staring and not blinking.
And you can feel that. You can like always feel that.
Yeah.
You can feel a stare. I mean, you can feel a presence. So like,
Especially if you're a woman.
yes.
Yep.
No offense.
So I'm thinking, okay, little dude is sleepwalking, something he hadn't done since he was 5-ish, but okay. Let's get him back to bed. So I sat up and swung my legs over the side of the bed, then grabbed his shoulders to lead him back to his bedroom. He didn't budge. Then out of nowhere, he smiles and says, "Howdy, ladybug," and kisses me right on the nose and turns and goes back to bed all by himself.
No.
I've got chills because I would be freaked out.
Okay.
Ladybug?
Howdy, ladybug.
Howdy, too. That's weird. Like, where would he get that verbiage?
Right. Because that's not like current lingo. Not to
You
sound
would
like
instantly
a
feel
weirdo,
like
but
someone
like,
was No, you would
You
instantly
know?
feel like someone was speaking
That's
for
not
your
like,
son.
it's the kiss on the nose for me, because even if somebody had the argument of him sleepwalking, okay, even if somebody's like, he's sleepwalking, how would anyone sleepwalking, like, do, like, kiss right, like, she said the nose, right?
Right.
Right?
And
Yeah,
I'm
on the
assuming
nose.
she's taller.
She's taller, so he had to get up there and kiss her
That's
nose,
weird.
sleepwalking.
Yep.
Ugh.
Okay. I spent maybe the next 45 minutes staring at the door he had shut quietly behind him with tears running down my face.
Oh.
To anyone else, that would be weird and totally random. To me, though, my grandpa was my best friend in the whole world. He died around 4 years before my oldest, the one standing at my bedside, like some serial killer was born. I'm sorry, is the serial killer description. Here's the kicker. Whenever my grandpa saw me, he would have this soft smile and say, "Howdy, ladybug," and kiss me on the nose. Oh,
No,
Ooh, talk about
no.
goosebumps.
I did too.
Wow.
And that's got to be one of those things that's like hard too, because it's bringing back memories of someone that you lost
right.
through
You're
your
almost
child.
trying to focus on something, right? Like, are you focusing on your son and what he might be going through right in that moment? Are you like completely
And he
consumed with
died
the fact
4 years before her oldest was born. So he would never have even been around to hear him say or do that.
right? And that's not something you would just probably on an average Wednesday be like, yeah, my grandfather used to always say, "Howdy, ladybug." And even if he was younger, like the fact that it came through in his sleep like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, because like there's those like phrases that family says to you where it's like, even if like Lukey was older, he wouldn't really know that, like my poppy says to me, he sings that song to me, "You Are So Beautiful to Me." And he calls me Boo Boo, and so does like my Mucka. And it's like, he wouldn't know that, because like,
yeah, even if you've been like
he
around,
wouldn't
that's what
even
I'm
know
saying.
that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Wow. Thank you for sharing this with us, by the way. This seems very personal, and I just want
it does.
thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah.
It says, he never did that with anyone else, only me, and I never once told my kids about that. There's no way he could have known.
Wow.
2 days ago would have been my grandpa's 98th birthday, and I had just been telling my husband the day before about how deeply I missed him and how badly I wished he had been here to see his great-grandbabies. I like to think that maybe this is his way of telling me he knows, because I realized for just a minute as my son kissed me on the nose, I smelled the scent of the pipe tobacco, which clung to my grandpa like a second skin because he smoked it every day for 50 years. A scent I haven't smelled in 11 years, but would never forget.
Wow. Oh, God, that covered me in goosebumps.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? See, this story is so interesting to me because I loved both equally for different reasons, where the last one seemed like darker. It's funny because ones like this, like that started off feeling so almost like demonic, right? You're like, what is happening to him? Like what? And then it instantly, like having lost my grandfather not long ago, it instantly like just like felt calm all of a sudden. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird how that can happen. I'm just a firm believer that family members can come through like that. And not that I'm happy it happened exactly like that for her, because I'm sure that freaked her out to the core. It's still so interesting to think, like in his subconscious while he was sleeping, was he getting messages?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously the
I
grandfather
mean,
was there.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past family members to have past lives of other family members, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of accounts of children having, like, if you look up, like, children having these accounts of, like, going to their parent and saying these really, like, how would they even know this kind of situational things? And I don't think it's very... I don't even know how to explain it. Like, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't even know how to explain it. You're talking 3-4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-old. Like, how would they even...
Yeah, because they're so innocent. There's not a speck in them that would know what they were doing. And, you know, I think this is so crazy, because to me, like, I always talk about how scent is so tied to memories.
It is. Yeah.
It could have been but like 3 weeks ago that I called Glenn. I was in the like car rider line to get the boys, and a song that comes on that always makes me cry about my grandfather came on, and I called Glenn, and I was like, I just smelled him. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm in my car and I just smelled him. Like, I literally was crying, calling Glenn. I smelled my grandfather. It was the weirdest thing that's happened besides the reading since he passed. I mean, I know I smelled him. It just like came over me. So it's so interesting that.
I'm sure it's like one of those comforting smells that like you recognize immediately because you don't smell it all the time. It's not like a common smell.
Yeah, it rushes over you. You know, scent is just, we all know that it's so tied to memory. So the fact that like that came through to her as well, like what a reassurance in case the other part wasn't weird enough for her. Like, it's just, that's crazy.
Well, not to take it to a dark path, but my friend, her mom passed away and she kept her pillow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes you can't even describe the scent. Sometimes you can't even put a name on it, floral or otherwise. But I have to say that I appreciate her sharing the story with us because this seems very personal and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, thank you
me
so
too.
much.
And we're all sorry for your loss as well, of course. And we appreciate you taking the time to tell us that because that's so interesting. I think we're all obviously like firm believers that relatives and loved ones and people from our past can come through in all kinds of different ways.
100%. 100%. There's
I love
no
that.
doubt
And
in my
even though
mind.
that one was like a little jarring in the beginning, it's like so comforting to know that they're around and trying whatever way they can to come through. So
I'd be interested to see like if she talked to her son about it like the next day. Like, do you remember like coming in?
Me too. Yeah.
Like I would be interested to know if he talked about it.
And not that it's the same, but I bet you he didn't. From my personal experience, because my middle son, who we call Bear, he has had the craziest like night terrors for years, and we will literally wake up to him just like sobbing, and he is in a daze. He has no clue what's going on.
Jess,
We're
how
trying.
does he sleep?
It's crazy.
How does he sleep? How does he sleep at night?
Physically,
like
his position. He's a stomach sleeper, like I am. Yeah.
That's me too.
And he'll go to bed like no issues. I mean, it happens like every few weeks, and he'll just literally wake up. And the next morning, my point to that was he has no recollection. He'll say to me, "Can you record me?" Because he doesn't believe. And in the moment, I don't ever think to do it because I'm comforting him. But
he could be a sleepwalker because that's how I started, and then I slept walk, and now I have sleep paralysis. It's not fun.
It's like one of my biggest fears, sleep paralysis.
Now we're on 5 times for Corinne, and I can't even explain it, and it's so weird. And I'm the kind of person that I'm like, I'm dreaming because I have really vivid dreams. I've told you guys about them before.
Yeah.
Like vivid, really ridiculous dreams.
Crazy.
And now, like, I have sleep paralysis more often because I've just started sleeping on my back again. Oh, that's fun.
I wonder too, as you get older, if like that stuff develops. I don't know. It's crazy. Well, we're going to wrap the episode up here because we could keep talking about this for a long time because it's so interesting. Please keep sending any stories that you're comfortable sharing to our email address. That's the best way because it kind of stays there until we do the next episode. It's just thewinecovenpodcast@gmail.com, but we'll put it in the description box. Thank you again to both of the listeners.
Thank you.
Who wrote in tonight. And we're sending you guys love. Before you go, please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you have not. And we will see you next week with another episode of the Wine Coven Podcast.
Bye.
Bye, guys.